Good morning, everyone. Lee Henson here, President and Founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's edition of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. Today we're going to continue to pound through some of the topics that we found in the Agile Curated newsletter. This was an awesome opportunity for me to dig in a little deeper and to see what's going on in the world around us and to talk about topics that were most important to you. What I can tell you right now is this is an excellent resource. If you're not already subscribed, visit agilecurated.com and get subscribed to that newsletter. Lots of good stuff here. Jess does a great job each week pulling together the top 5 Agile articles that you should be paying attention to. Another one of those articles this week is an article that Bob Galen put out. It says, we're talking about practice. And I love his intro. So here's a piece from his intro. He goes on to talk about Allen Iverson and his infamous rant about practice and how he, just disliked practice and didn't understand what practice was for. But one of the stories that he tells on a sidebar, and this is the part that I love, he says, not that long ago, a young man sat down with me at a coaching clinic at a Scrum Alliance gathering. He was a millennial looking for career advice, and in this way, he was very direct. He said, Bob, I want to achieve a level of expertise in Agile coaching community, and I want to do it in a year. Please tell me how to do that. What's so amazing about this is that I can tell you in the last several certified Scrum Master and advanced certified Scrum Master classes that I've taught, I've had this very same question come up. Whether it's I want to be a coach or I want to be a trainer, people come up to me and they say, now that I've gotten my CSM, I want to be a trainer and I want to train other people how to do this. I've got lots of training experience. I trained back when I was in high school. I trained people how to run the back end at the local fast food joint, or, I trained people at my job and I've done this and, or coach even, I've been a wellness coach, or, I help people with dietary planning, and I want to be an Agile coach now. And it's just so interesting to me that what people don't understand is this next part. Bob goes on to say, sadly, I don't think my answer helped him, nor was it well received. It was simply that you can't. And I wasn't speaking from a position of ego, but from a position that it's taken me 20 plus years to acquire whatever skills I have in my journey. And I don't think that could easily be encapsulated or subsumed overnight or even within a year. And I think that's the key. There's so many people who come up and say, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a trainer, I want to be a coach, and I'm not trying to discourage them, but one of the first things I tell them is, do you realize that this could be a 10, 15, 20-year journey? And I think some people just think, all I have to do is get a couple of certifications under my belt and I'll be good to go. The truth is, certification is incredibly important, and it's one step on a journey, right? But I don't think that you're going to get there by reading a single book or reading 10 books on coaching or training, or attending a class or more on coaching or training, or listening to people coach on recordings and book on tape, if you will, or book on digital, however you want to do it, right? Or watching other people coach. It's a great tool. They're nice and helpful, but there's only one way to become a rock-solid coach or a rock-solid trainer. In this case, we're talking about coach. And that word is the one that everyone dreads. Practice. Do it. You got to be a coach to become a coach. You can't just sit here and beat around the bush. It's incredible to me to think that people feel like they want a quick fix, or they want to, a lot of times people say, hey, I want to go down this path. And, it's so hard to give them advice because, I often point them to the Scrum Alliance, where they have lots of good resources and articles that'll help them to know and understand, what it's going to take. I think the most important part about this is you got to break it down into things that are reasonable, right? And I love in Bob's article, he says, practicing your craft. It sounds easy to say, simply coach to become a better coach. In a way, it's true, but there's more of a nuance to it than that. An important part is to be coachable yourself. Be humble. Actively empty your cup. Be curious about everything. Another part is being a relentless, continuous learner, to always be looking to get better and serve your coaching clients. Another part is remaining patient. It takes time to master anything. I love his little quote here. He says, I'm not going to reference the 10,000 plus hours it required me. And along with patience is perseverance and realizing that it's not the destination, but the journey that's important. You should always be practicing to get better. And I can't emphasize that enough. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to be an Olympic swimmer or an ice skater, or whether you're trying to be the best plumber or electrician, or whether you're trying to be the best coach or mentor or motivator. You need to practice, and that's the way you're going to do it. That's the way you're going to get better. He goes on to discuss and say that finally, Agile coaching isn't simply about professional coaching, although many Agile and Scrum communities think it is. There's a big wheel of coaching as a framework for all of the stances required to be an effective Agile coach. One of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about in our Advanced Certified Scrum Master course is coaching stance and coaching position and coaching strategies. And I think that you really need to understand those in a much deeper way. The 3 models that he recommends, one's called, from the Agile Coaching Institute, it's called Agile Coaching Competency Framework, or the X-Wing model. An excellent model. If you haven't had a chance to research that, you should. The Big Wheel of Agile Coaching, that was an effort that was led by Mark Summers and folks who attended the Scrum coaching retreats out in Europe. And then they have one that's called The 9 Coaching Roles by Barry Overeem. I referenced that one in my advanced class. All 3 personally helped Bob define to breath this thing we call Agile coaching as more than just most of us realize as a simple task or a simple way to get things done, right? So I think the big deal is you got to dig in and get the information. You got to do the research. You got to do your homework. It's important to have those basic fundamental things. You got to research getting certifications. You have to understand the stances. And while they're not the end-all be-all, they certainly are important stepping stones to get you where you need to be. He also identifies some ideas for practicing your craft. How do you practice this? When we say practice, it's easy if you're trying to practice for a sport or an event or something along those lines. But how do you practice as a coach? Number 1 is pair coaching. The best way to sharpen your saw in coaching is to pair with another coach and saw with them. It's just so important for you to really work closely with somebody that you admire, somebody you respect, somebody that has a strong coaching approach that will help you grow. And I think it's just important for you to go in with humility, learn from the other person, and really dig in and pair coach with them. The second is getting a mentor coach for yourself. It's just, in order to become a great coach, you need a mentor. You need a coach, preferably more than one, right? It's just so cool when you have multiple people guiding you and helping you and showing you different techniques. You need to find someone that you're comfortable with, that you feel psychological safety, that you feel like you can engage with, somebody that you want to be like. It's one of these things where you should be able to do a sample assessment with a coach and work with them a little bit and try it on to make sure it's a good fit for you and a good fit for them, and that everyone is going to work together. Don't try to twist yourself into what they do or fold yourself into a position where you're uncomfortable. Find a way to really understand what their style is and their techniques and their stance and make sure it's a good fit. Next, you probably need to find opportunities to coach yourself. That sounds a lot easier than it is, but here's some examples. So what about at a Scrum gathering? There's lots of Scrum gathering and Agile Alliance events where they're always looking for people to coach in a coach's corner. Coach at a local conference or a meetup group. Give people aside and say, hey, I offer free coaching at these groups. It's a good way for you to practice your skill and to exercise with them and to make sure you're flexing your muscles. Set up your own coaching circle or join an online coaching circle where you're coaching others and others are coaching you within a circle. Offer free coaching to underserved diversity groups or communities. Reach out to your network and offer to coach. Practice in dojo sessions whenever you can. There's so many different ways that you can do this, but you got to get in there and find opportunities to make it happen. And then I think once you do that, you also have to be receptive to feedback. You want to make sure you have a thick skin and self-awareness with limited to no triggering. You want to have a sponge-like mentality and just take it all in, let it soak in, figure it out. An appreciation for the gift of feedback. Feedback isn't required for someone to do. If someone gives you feedback, that's a gift. And the gift is yours to open and use. And I think all too often we get feedback, but then we don't leverage that feedback. And then you need to have a thoughtfulness, a reflection of posture, right? So you need to be thoughtful and reflective and retrospective and introspective and learn from that feedback. I think once you receive the feedback, that's great. But if you don't internalize it, it's pretty much pointless, right? We need to make sure that we're internalizing that feedback and doing what we need to do. And finally, walking your talk. One of the most important things you can do as a coach is don't coach. I love that quote. He says, instead, show what you can do. Lead by example and by modeling the behavior of your Agile principles in action. You need to walk the walk and talk the talk. But it's important for you not just to talk the talk and then, do as I say, not as I do. You need to do what you need to do. There's so many amazing programs out there for you to access and for you to tune in. And Bob, my hat's off to you, as it always is. You're just fantastic as a coach. And when it comes to, really digging in, Bob Galen really has it down. This is just an incredible article. It's succinct. It gives you the examples. It gives you the ideas. And it really does a good job. And I want to thank Jess from Agile Curated for, digging deep and pulling it out and letting us, dig in and have this conversation. Because I think it's just so important for us to understand coaching, embrace coaching. And really, if you want to be a better coach, coach. If you want to be a better trainer, teach. But you need to find opportunities to do it. This shouldn't be the chicken and the egg. You need to dig in and create opportunities for you to be successful. Without you creating the opportunities, they'll never happen. So I hope you found this information useful. I hope that it's been relevant and that you can run with it. As always, we encourage you to visit AgileDad.com, where we provide world-class training and coaching, and we'd love to help you on your journey if possible. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.